Have you ever had a dream so vivid, so personal, that it felt like more than just a dream? Like it wasn't random but intentional, like something or someone was trying to speak directly to your soul? That happened to me last night, and I believe it wasn't just for me. It was a message for anyone who's ever struggled with manifesting. Anyone who's asked, what am I doing wrong? Or why isn't it here yet? I had two dreams, one after the other, and together, they held answers that I didn't even know I needed. In the first dream, I was back in school. It wasn't about the building or the people, it was about who I was back then. That version of me who loved engaging with teachers, who was playful and curious, who didn't hold back opinions but always shared them in a respectful, fun way. In that dream, I said something in class, and the teacher, who felt so real, so kind, smiled and replied with a sentence that landed in my soul like thunder: self-respect is the highest form of love. Self-love is the highest form of respect. She didn't say it to correct me. She said it to remind me, like I already knew it but had forgotten. Like the version of me in that dream still lived by that truth, and my present self needed to catch up. Then came the second dream. I was on a call with a friend, talking about manifestation, something I teach, live and breathe. And I said to him, laughing, you gotta tell yourself you already got what you want, even if the 3D says otherwise. You already got it. When I woke up, those two sentences echoed in my chest. And I thought, wow, what if the answers we keep searching for are actually sleeping right next to us in our dreams? What if your soul knows exactly what you need, and all it's asking is, will you listen? So today, let's unpack those two messages. One about how you see yourself, one about how you see your reality. Because together, they unlock everything. Let's talk about that line from my dream: self-respect is the highest form of love. We often treat love like it's all about feelings, softness, kindness, compassion. And while that's beautiful, love without respect often turns into self-sacrifice, people-pleasing, and lowering our standards just to feel wanted. But respect is about value. Respect is what sets the tone for how you allow yourself to be treated, not just by others, but by yourself. When you respect yourself, you stop chasing, you stop begging, you stop justifying crumbs and calling it connection. And here's the big link to manifestation. Neville Goddard said, you can't manifest what you're not conscious of being. If you don't see yourself as someone worthy of love, money, success, how can you feel it, assume it, or receive it? Respect isn't loud. It's not arrogant. It's internal. It sounds like, I don't need to prove anything. I trust my timing because I trust myself. If it's mine, it will find me, but I'm not lowering my worth to chase it. Self-respect brings peace. It's the opposite of that anxious, frantic energy that comes when you feel like your desire is slipping away. When you respect yourself, you choose thoughts that match the you who already has it. You stop being the version of you who's trying to become, and start being the version who already is. That's not just a mindset shift, that's a state shift. And manifestation happens through state. So start asking yourself, am I treating myself like I already have the thing? Am I honoring the version of me that has already arrived? Because when you start treating yourself with that kind of dignity, the world begins to treat you the same way. Let's talk about real self-love. Not the Instagram version with bubble baths and positive quotes. Not the forced affirmations when you're actually struggling inside. But the kind of self-love that feels like coming home to yourself, flaws, wounds, and all. Last night in my dream, I heard the phrase, self-love is the highest form of respect. And you know what? That's not about becoming perfect. That's not about earning the right to feel good about yourself after you've fixed everything. It's about accepting yourself right here, right now, with your strengths and your shortcomings. Think about how we love other people. When you love your partner, your best friend, your family, you don't demand that they be flawless. You accept their quirks, their weaknesses, their annoying habits. You don't love them because they're perfect. You love them because of who they are, even with the parts that need work. So why is it so hard to extend that same grace to yourself? Real self-love is not saying I'm amazing when you don't feel it. It's saying, I see where I'm struggling, but I won't shame myself for it. I'll work on it with kindness. It's not about saying this is just who I am, I can't change, but instead, yes, this is where I am right now, but I'm willing to grow from here without hating myself through the process. There's nothing more powerful and more attractive than a person who can say, yeah, I've got flaws. I'm not proud of everything I've done, but I'm trying, I'm improving, and I accept myself enough to keep going without guilt eating me alive. That's self-love. Neville Goddard taught that your assumptions create your reality. But here's the deeper layer to that. You can't hold assumptions that uplift your life if you're constantly criticizing yourself. The vibration of guilt, shame, and self-hate can't produce peace or fulfillment. It keeps you stuck. So many people think self-love is about ignoring your problems or pretending you're perfect. But no, true self-love is about letting go of the belief that you have to be flawless to be worthy. You're worthy right now, with the anxious thoughts, with the overthinking, with the past mistakes. Self-love means respecting yourself enough to say, I deserve better than to be at war with myself every day. Because when you stop fighting yourself, when you stop picking at every imperfection, you create space to actually evolve. And you know what else happens? Your manifestations come faster. Your relationships improve. Your inner peace grows. Not because you trick the universe with fake positivity, but because you align with truth. And the truth is, you are allowed to be a work in progress and still be deeply lovable. So stop waiting to become someone before you let yourself feel good. Stop thinking that beating yourself up will motivate change. And start respecting yourself enough to treat your own heart like it matters. Because it does. And that is the deepest form of respect. In my second dream last night, I was on a call with a friend. We were talking about manifestation. And in that lighthearted, joking way you talk with someone you trust, I said, you've got to tell yourself you already got what you want, even if the 3D says otherwise. You already got it. Now, it may have come out playfully, but let me tell you, that's one of the deepest truths about manifestation. It's not about forcing your mind to believe a lie. It's about choosing to stand in the reality of what you know within, even before the outer world reflects it. That's what Neville Goddard meant when he said, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. But here's where people get stuck. They try to convince themselves that something is here while still emotionally living in the place of it's not. They say the words, but underneath there's this panic. It's not here yet. I'm lying to myself. This feels fake. That energy, that tension, that's the state of lack, not the state of fulfillment. Saying I already got it doesn't mean pretending you're holding the money, or hugging your SP, or living in the mansion today. It means that internally, you know it's done. You don't need the proof anymore. You've stopped checking the scoreboard. You've shifted from wanting to being. It's like when you order food at a restaurant. Once you've placed your order, you don't keep shouting at the waiter, is it coming? Are you sure? Did the chef hear me? You relax. You talk. You enjoy the moment. Why? Because you assume it's being prepared. You know it's on the way. That's the state of already got it. Now let me make something really clear. This doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you give up. It means you trust. You trust the unseen more than the seen. You trust your imagination more than your doubts. You trust the feeling of it's done more than the fear of what if it's not. That's a powerful place to live from. Not because you're perfect or fearless, but because you've made a choice to live in the truth you've accepted, not the reality that's still catching up. And let's be honest, sometimes that's hard. Sometimes your 3D looks like the exact opposite of what you're imagining. Sometimes you feel the weight of time, the silence, the confusion. But you've got to ask yourself, do I want to keep reacting to the old, or do I want to create the new? Living from the state of already got it doesn't always mean you'll feel 100% confident every moment, but it does mean you keep returning to that inner anchor. It's done. It's mine. I don't need proof to feel it. I am it. And here's the beautiful twist. When you start showing up from this state, not faking, but truly shifting, life begins to mirror it back. Not because you tricked the universe, but because you became the person who already has it. Not someday. Not when things change. Now. So today, don't ask, when will it come? Ask, how would I move today if I already had it? Start living from there. Let's get real for a second. If you're constantly looking at your external world, your 3D reality, and arguing with it, you're only reinforcing the belief that it's more real than your inner assumptions. You're letting what's out there dictate your state of being, your thoughts, your emotions. And when you're doing that, you're not living from the end, you're living from the beginning of the manifestation process. Now, I know how it goes. I've been there too. You affirm something, you visualize, you feel the excitement, and then, boom, something in the 3D shows up that makes you second-guess everything. A text, a situation, something that seems to contradict what you've been creating. And in that moment, the temptation is to argue with reality, to say, no, this can't be true. This is the opposite of what I've been imagining. Why is this happening? But here's the key. Arguing with 3D reality only keeps you stuck in the old story. You're giving more power to the illusion than to the true reality you've chosen to live in. Neville Goddard said, 3D reality is just the echo of your thoughts and beliefs. So when you argue with it, you're arguing with your own power. You're looking at the reflection in the mirror and saying, this isn't me, without realizing that you created the reflection in the first place. Stop doing that. Instead of arguing with your 3D reality, shift your focus. Live in your assumption. Trust that what you're imagining is on its way. And trust that what you're seeing in the present moment is just a temporary blip on the radar. When you continue to react to the 3D, you're reinforcing the belief that the 3D controls you. But the truth is, your thoughts and assumptions shape the 3D. The external world is simply playing catch up with what you've decided to believe and feel about yourself. Let me be clear, this doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you stop letting it dictate your emotional state. It means you stop reacting to every situation as though it's a final verdict. It means you stop saying, this is how things are right now, so this is how they'll always be. You've got to remember, reality is fluid. It's malleable. It shifts with your assumption, your belief, your feeling. And when you start acting from the state of already having what you want, without arguing with what's in front of you, things start to move. Imagine you're sitting in a car, and the GPS says, destination 10 miles ahead. If you keep looking out the window every 30 seconds and saying, am I there yet? Why isn't it here already? You're going to make the ride feel way longer. But if you trust the GPS, relax, and enjoy the ride, you'll get there faster. The 3D reality is just the road. Your assumptions are the GPS. Trust it. Every time you look at your current circumstances and react emotionally with frustration, confusion, or doubt, you're strengthening the belief that those circumstances are permanent and unchangeable. But they're not. If you stop arguing with what you see, you start accepting what you've already imagined. You stop giving energy to what's not working, and you start giving energy to the assumption that everything is already aligned and coming your way. It's a game of faith. Faith in your imagination. Faith in your power. Faith that what you desire is already yours, even if the 3D hasn't caught up yet. And when you let go of the need to argue, criticize, or prove anything in your current reality, you step into your power. You stop giving reality the ability to manipulate your mood and your actions. You stop letting your desires feel like they're out there somewhere. And instead, you live as though you already are that person who has what they want. So, today, stop arguing with 3D. It's only a reflection. Trust your inner reality more than you trust what you see on the outside. Stay anchored in the assumption that you are the creator of your experience, and let that be the truth you live from. I want you to take a moment and really reflect on what we've talked about today. Self-love isn't about being perfect. It's about being kind to yourself, flaws and all. It's about accepting where you are right now and trusting that you are worthy of all the dreams you're creating. You don't have to fix yourself before you can have it all. And manifestation, it's not some mystical, out-of-reach concept. It's about living from the end, right now. You already have everything you desire. It's already yours. Don't get lost in the 3D reality. Trust what you've imagined, and allow the world to shift to meet you there. Now, go forward with confidence, knowing that you are enough. You don't need to argue with reality. You don't need to prove anything. You simply need to be the version of yourself who already has it all. Did this resonate with you? Drop a comment below and let me know how this message is showing up in your life. I'd love to hear your thoughts.